Hi guys, Amanda here from Fun Hands-On Learning, and today we're going to talk about 6 ways to use manipulatives for learning, like for phonics and for math. And there are so many fun activities you can use manipulatives for. Now, what is a manipulative? A manipulative is just a tool that you use when you're learning. So it can be anything, really, anything small or little that you can use. I'm going to show you a plethora of manipulatives I have here that I use. This is the 5th video in my series on 6 ways to enhance your students' learning. If you are interested in any of my other videos, I'll leave links below to the other 4 videos in this series. Okay, so getting started, one of the things we use for manipulatives are snap cubes. Snap cubes are awesome for math, but you don't have to just use them for math. They're great for sorting. They're great for a lot of different things. So snap cubes are great. We also use Legos. These are Lego Duplos. These are great for young students. Okay, then we also use these. I got these at the dollar store. These are just like little gems. They're for planters, but we love using these, especially at winter time. We pretended they were little pieces of ice or little, ice cubes, and we use them that way, but they can be used at all times of the year. Another thing I have that you may have laying around the house if you have a baby or little kids is these. These are the caps to like those jars of food that you can screw them on, and I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. Like they're those squeezable baby jar foods, and so we just use we save the caps for those. We wash them, and then we use those for activities. This here are pom-poms. Lay some of them out here. They have magnets on the back of them because we'll use them on magnetic surfaces like cookie sheets and things like that. These are a hit with my kids. They love these. They love that they're magnetic. So all I did is I hot glued magnets to the bottom of these pom-poms, and that's how I got the magnets to stay. Originally I had bought magnets that just already had the sticky stuff to them. They were like stickers, but they didn't stay, so I hot glued them, and now they stay, and we don't have a single problem with that. Okay, another thing you can use for manipulatives are toys. These are little finger puppets, and we use these little finger puppets for manipulatives, but any kind of little toy, little cars, just little toys that your kids have laying around the house. Another great thing that we use for manipulatives are these bears. These are counting bears, and you can get them on Amazon, and we love these. We love the different colors. They come with these little matching cups as well. And so then another thing we use are buttons. And these are buttons. Sometimes I put magnets on the back of them, so a few of them have magnets because we'll use them on a magnetic surface, but you don't have to. So buttons are another great tool. Then here I have, just from the dollar store, little frogs that, the kids can press and they jump. And we've used these for different activities as well. So like I said, just even little toys laying around the house. Another thing we use are buttons. These are kind of big, so you'd have to have, we use these mostly for sorting and counting and things like that, especially with little kids. So buttons are a great, big buttons. So the little buttons that I showed you earlier, these little buttons, we use for smaller activities, you'll see. And then the bigger buttons we use for sorting. And then we also, last thing I have pulled out for you today are just little erasers. Little erasers are great for manipulatives. Okay, so let's get into the 6 ways we use manipulatives for learning. Okay, so the first way to use manipulatives for learning is to use them to mark your answers. So you can do that with activity cards like this, or you can do it with worksheets like this. I'm going to show you both ways. So with clip cards, these are generally clip cards where you would clip your answer, but I'm going to just use manipulatives for this. So I'm going to take this card, and what does Fox begin with? It begins with F-O, Fox, and we're going to take a manipulative, and we're going to go ahead and cover it up just like that. So that's the first way we use them, is to cover up our answers on clip cards or on worksheets. I'm going to show you how it would work on worksheets. These cards, by the way, are from my Phonics mega activity card set. If you're interested in that, I'll leave links below. If you have a student that you want, or you have a worksheet that you want to reuse over and over again for some reason, or you just want to make it a little bit more interactive, this is how to do it. So you can pair it up with Manipulative. So this worksheet is from my early learners math curriculum. It's from the unit on comparing, and what the student would do is they would roll a die and then they would color the one in the box that has a greater number. So if they rolled a 3, they would look at the first box here and they would color the one with the greater number. Well, instead of coloring, they could mark it with a manipulative, as you see here. I'm using buttons on that one, but then let's say they roll again, and this time they rolled a 4, so they're still in this row. Here, they would cover up the one that has the most. You can use any kind of manipulative you want. So instead of doing the actual coloring on the page, they can use a manipulative instead. So certain worksheets can work this way as well, pairing them up with manipulatives. Okay, let me show you way number 2. Okay, the second way to use manipulatives for learning is for counting and operations, simple addition and subtraction. So all you need is number flashcards, or like I have here, these are number pieces from a Melissa and Doug puzzle. And I just pulled out 2 numbers to show you an example. Okay, so I'm going to pair these up with any manipulative I want. This time I'm going to go ahead and use my snap cubes. Okay, so here you can do it for basic counting. Have them count out 2 snap cubes, and put them together, 2. And then for this one, we would count out 5 snap cubes, put them together, and now I have 5. But any manipulative will work for this. You get the idea. You can also then turn it into addition for older students. So you can ask them what's 2 plus 5. They make it with the snap cubes and then they count it up. I always have them start with the bigger number, whether the bigger number is first or second. So find the bigger number. I know my bigger number is 5, so I already know I have 5, then I count 2 more. Another simple operation would be subtraction. So I could have them count out 5 minus 2. They would count out 5 manipulatives. Here I'm using my bears. So I'm going to count out 5 bears, 3, 4, 5, and then take away 2. How many are left? 3. So using manipulatives for simple subtraction and addition is a great way to do it. Same thing with 5 plus 2. They would put out 5 manipulatives, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, plus 2 more. They'd put out 2 more. How many altogether? 5, 6, 7. So you get the idea. Okay, way number 3 to use manipulatives for learning is to use them to build letters and numbers. So here I'm going to show you how to do that with these alphabet mats. Basically what the children are going to do is they're just going to use any manipulative you have, and they're going to use them to build the number. So they're going to put it on the mat and they're going to build it. Now if you don't have these kind of mats where they could build the number, then they can just do it, you know, on their own. Just show them how the letter looks, and they would use their manipulatives like I am here to build each letter. Okay, so as you see here, I'm just going to keep going. These mats actually are our Play-Doh mats because we use these to build the letters with Play-Doh as well. If you're interested in these, I have letters and we have numbers. I'll leave a link below to these. So that is the third way to use manipulatives for learning. The fourth way to use manipulatives for learning is for sorting. Sorting is a great pre-math skill, and students need to be able to sort in order to do higher level math thinking. So we use these buttons for sorting, but you could use any kind of manipulatives as long as they're different colors, depending on what you're sorting. You could sort for colors, for shapes, whatever manipulatives you have. So these buttons are great because they have different colors and different shapes. So I could have the child sort by color. So put all the purple ones over here, and then put all the yellow ones. And one good thing you could use for sorting is muffin tins, and then they can put them in the different muffin tins, and then they're not just like laying on the table like I have here. But for our purposes today, you get the idea. So they're going to sort them by color. They could also, if I put them back together, you could have them sorting by shape. So here I have square, 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 you know, circles. You get the idea. Stars over here. And so on. My hexagons over here. So we can sort by shape, by color. So any kind of sorting exercise you have, this is a great way to do it, is by using manipulatives, and you can sort them. Here are these manipulatives, little toys. I could have them sort them by the type of animal they are. So we could sort by mammals, reptiles, and so on. Birds, and we can put them in different categories that way. So sorting is a fun skill. Another thing you can do, since I have so many different erasers here, we could go ahead and sort these. Like we could sort all of the smiley faces together and all the hearts together and all the basketballs together and all the, I think there's fish in here, yeah, all the fish together and so on. So just go ahead and get creative with it, all the different sports balls together. Get creative and have your kiddos find toys or whatever and then sort them by different attributes. The fifth way we use manipulatives is with our activity centers. So any kind of activity center, usually activity centers tend to be hands-on, and so you're going to be using manipulatives with many of them. Depending on the ones that you have, you might have some in your curriculum, or you might have some of mine, or wherever you get them, you probably are going to be using manipulatives. So this is an activity center from my measurement unit, and my measurement and weight unit of my early learners math curriculum. And so what the child will do is they will spin, and whatever it lands on, they're going to cover up an item that matches what it lands on. So it landed on I can lift it. So they're going to look at the pictures. And this activity is working on weight. And so they're going to look at the pictures and they're going to cover up something that they can lift. So I'm going to grab a manipulative and I'm going to cover up something I can lift. I can lift a hat. And then, you know, they would go on, obviously. And if it landed on something I can't lift, they would cover up something they can't lift. I cannot lift a bear. So I'd cover that up. So just like that. Here's another, I'll show you one more. Okay, as I'm talking about activity centers, something else that I do is I love to use manipulatives that match the season we're in. So right now it's February and we're in the Valentine's season. So I have some candy hearts here that we're using as manipulatives. I also have these little manipulatives that are like just little Valentine, little squishy Valentine, I don't know what they are. They're supposed to go on necklaces, I think. But anyways, we have these, and then we also use a lot of times the foam stickers. We don't use them as stickers. We just use them as little pieces, and because they've got foam stickers for every season. So anyways, we like to make it match the season that we're in. So this activity center is a Valentine's activity center. From my Valentine Activity Center pack. And this one, the children are working on building a graph. So basically they spin, it lands on a certain picture, it landed on this little boy, and then they would take like their candy heart and they would put it next to that little boy on their mat. And they would keep spinning until they have made a graph. You know, so if it lands on this little child, then they'd put one here. And they'd keep spinning until they got all the way to one of their they spun and it got all the way to the very end. And then they would go ahead and look at the graph they made. I'm just putting them on here, but you get the idea. They would have to spin and then match it up. And then they've made, you know, a graph, and they can look at the graph and talk about it. But so yeah, so using manipulatives that match the season that you're in is another great way to do it. I've shown different videos for each of the different seasons so far this year, and some of the manipulatives we've used. So if you want to check out my channel and look at some of my other videos to see what kind of manipulatives I use for different seasons, check those videos out. But so yes, so way number 5 is to use them with activity centers. We are almost at way number 6. Okay, the last way to use manipulatives for learning is for sounding out words, or what I call segmenting and blending. So here I have some segmenting and blending cards. These are from my Phonics activity cards pack. You don't have to have these though. You just need cards with words on them so the child can segment and blend. But I do like these because they actually have the dot and the arrow on them. But for our purposes, this is what you would do. You would match them up with some kind of round manipulative. I really like using the round erasers for an activity like this. And what the child will do is they will put an eraser on there and they will say the sound. So t, ah, p. And then they would run their finger across the arrow and blend it together. Top. So first they are segmenting the sounds with their manipulative, and I love having a manipulative there for them to segment with, because as they put it down, they're saying the sound, so they're seeing the separate sounds, and then they can run their finger across the arrow to blend it together. So here will be another one. My son loves doing this. So p, a, pan. And we also like to use erasers that match the season. So I don't have any Valentine erasers right now, but if I did, I would probably have him use Valentine erasers on these. Oh, actually I do. I do have hearts. Haha, I do. So like for this one, he would do let's see, can I find another one? G. Mug. So yeah, I do have hearts. So yay, thank you for watching. This has been the 5th video in this series on 6 ways to enhance your students' learning. Leave any feedback or questions or comments below. Thanks. Bye.